there, welcome back. Today I will be doing an update on my rotation project, which basically entails me rotating throughout my makeup every month to make sure that I'm using all of it every month and not neglecting it while I focus on my project pan. So today I will be updating you on the items that I focused on this month, how many times I used them, what was my experience like, and also I'm gonna introduce the new items for February. On my last video, I swatched all of the items that I was introducing for the month of January, but some of them were out of frame and I apologize for that. I can't see what you're seeing because I don't have a monitor or anything like that. I record on my phone, and although I could do like the mirroring, it doesn't really work really well on my computer. It kind of lags and it's kind of slow, so I just make it work basically. So I will be re-swatching them today just to make sure, hey, and because of that, today I will be re-swatching them just so you can see what the product looks like. So first we have blush, and last month for January I had 3 blushes, and I'm also gonna have 3 blushes for the month of February. The first one was the Revolution Balm Blush in the shade Peach Bliss. This is what it looks like. Like I mentioned before, this one is a newer one to my collection. I thought I would try that formula and I did not like it. This particular blush lifted my makeup when I applied it, even though I applied with like a foundation brush, and even if I would set it with a powder blush, it would still not last all day, and I don't know, it made my blush look patchy and I didn't like it at all. I tried using it as a lip balm and it also doesn't feel nice on the lips, and because I didn't like it on my face, I only reached for it 3 times, which was enough for me to realize that this blush is not gonna work for me. I tried using it as a lip tint or a lip balm, but it is not hydrating enough. So although I do not like to declutter stuff, I will empty this out and keep the container because I think it can be useful for whenever I decant something, or even for mixing some foundations in here just to make sure that it matches my shade. So yeah, very disappointed with this one, but I gave it my best shot and I will swatch it for you either way. This is what it looks like. It is such a shame because it's such a pretty color, but sadly the formula does not work well for me. But at least I will be keeping the packaging so that won't go straight to the trash or anything like that. The next blush is Coral Cloud by Bare Minerals. And like I said, this is one of my favorite ones. And so I reached for it 7 times. And I had the best time ever wearing it every single time because I love this blush. And that's a swatch right there. I hope this time you can see it. And yeah, I have no complaints. It is still one of my favorite blush formulas ever. And because this is one of my favorite blush, I think I'm gonna keep it out in my everyday makeup just in case I feel like wearing it. I can, because I have so much makeup and I don't have a lot of space. Like I don't have a vanity or anything where I can get ready. I literally get ready in my office. So whatever makeup I don't have on my rotation is actually stored in a box. So it can be quite difficult to reach a specific product that I feel like wearing that day, just because I have to take out the boxes and look for it. So because this is one of my favorites, I'm gonna keep it up. And the third blush is Floating Lights by Colourpop. This is from the Disney Princess collection, and this is the Rapunzel one. This is a nice blush, but I was a little bit worried about how much I would enjoy wearing it. But I think I did because I reached for it 5 times. I know that these are really small numbers, but I focus a lot more on my project pan items. And really, I just wanted to make sure that I still like these items and I'm reaching for them, even if it's only a few times. And so for the blushes that will be replacing these items, the first one is Pink Flirt by Milani. This is a liquid blush. And I know that I do like this formula because I'm currently panning another blush in this formula but a different shade. So wearing this is gonna be no problem at all. And the way I would describe this particular shade is that it's a very Barbie pink. It's a creamy, glowy formula. It is not super long lasting, but it is nice. The next blush is also by Colourpop, also by the Princess collection. And this one is in the shade Enchanted Mirror. This one is the Belle blush. And although Rapunzel, it is one of my favorite princess, I also really relate to Belle because she likes to read and I love to read. Here's the swatch. And this particular shade I think looks very similar to the Rapunzel one, except that maybe it is a little bit more pigmented or slightly darker maybe. But to me, they look really, really similar. And the third blush is a Super Shock blush by Colourpop. This one is in the shade Brute Flute, I think it's the way it's pronounced. This might seem a little bit too dark for me, but as you can tell, I have wore this a lot. Not a lot of my Super Shock blushes look like this one, but it is a formula that I really enjoy. You will see another one, I think, later on in the year. I don't know when because I randomized this. Um, but in the Tinkerbell collection, and it also looks very heavily used because the Super Shock blush formula is one of my favorite ones. And I know that this might seem a little bit too dark for me, but with a light hand and patience, I actually can make it work, which is why I have used it so much. Now for highlighters, I have 3 highlighters for the month of January, and I also have 3 highlighters for the month of February. The first highlighter is by Physicians Formula in the shade Pearl, and I mentioned in my video that I had used it at some point a lot, pretty much every day, and actually I reached for it 6 times this month and I hit pan. So I'm really excited about that. Not a lot of my highlighters have pan. Besides this one, only 2 have pan in them, which is not a great percentage because I have like 30 highlighters. So although I wasn't trying to hit pan, it was exciting to do so. And in such few uses, it was very unexpected for me. And here you have the swatch. I hope it shows on camera how pretty this highlighter is. The second highlighter is from a palette by Laura Geller called the Glow Standard, and the shade that I got was Give It a Pearl. It is very similar to the Physicians Formula one. I reached for this one 4 times, and I think that the only difference is that this one has a little bit more of pink in it. And yeah, it looked pretty. I enjoyed it. It is creamy and it's also pigmented, and it does not look weird on your face. Or on my face at least. The third highlighter is by Wet n Wild in the shade Golden Flower Crown. And like I mentioned before, this is such a nice formula that I enjoy a lot. This is a repurchase for me, which does not happen often with highlighters. I reached for this one 5 times, and it was nice to have an alternative that was warmer to these 2 highlighters. Now for February, I will also have 3 highlighters, and the first one is a Super Shock highlighter by Colourpop in the shade Stole the Show. This is what it looks like, and I actually worked on this one almost the entirety of last year trying to hit pan. Well, I was trying to finish it, but realistically, that was not going to happen. However, I did manage to erase all of the imprint that it comes with, and I actually hit pan on it. This is like a very soft, kind of golden highlighter, and I'm really excited to maybe see how much I can expand the pan throughout this month. The second highlighter also comes from my palette, the Glow Standard by Laura Geller, but this time I got the shade Warm Wishes, which is a golden highlighter. This is what it looks like, and I hope you can see it, but it's a very soft champagne shade that I think is going to complement my skin really nicely. I'm excited that this month I also have something warm toned because these are the kind of highlighters that I really gravitate towards. Finally, the last highlighter comes from also Laura Geller palette, but this time it's an eyeshadow palette that comes with a blush and a highlighter, and the highlighter is called The Mirror. I have never tried this highlighter before because this is a new palette to my collection, so I'm not sure what to expect for this shade, but I know that the formula is going to be good because I trust Laura Geller. Here is the swatch, and I don't know if you can see it, but it is like a pink golden kind of shade, so I'm really excited about this one actually. Now for the single shadows. In the month of January, I had 2, but for February, I will have 3. The first one for January was Glassy by Jaclyn Hill, and this is more of a topper like I mentioned. It looks really nice on the eyelid, and I think it can also be used as a one and done kind of shade for those more natural days. Oh, and I reached for this one 6 times. The second single shadow was a Super Shock shadow by Colourpop in the shade Lighting Bud. Here's the swatch, and it is a copper shimmering shade, which are some of my favorite tones to wear on my eyes, and I reached for this one 7 times. Now for February, the first shade is a Colourpop Super Shock shadow in the shade Olympic, and this one is from the Raw Beauty Christie collection. I didn't get the entire collection, I didn't even get the palette, but I did manage to get the Super Shock shadows. This is a more soft champagne shade, and I'm really excited to have this in my everyday makeup because these are one of my favorite Super Shock shadows. The second one is a liquid shadow by Stila called Jezebel. And here it is. It is also a copper shimmering shade, which is not a perfect match for the lighting bag, but I think it's going to perform the same function for me to provide me with something more warm tone that I can enjoy. Finally, for single eyeshadows, we have another Jaclyn Cosmetics one, and this one is in the shade Icicle. This one will be the last one by Jaclyn Cosmetics because I only have 2. It is such a shame that Jaclyn Cosmetics is closing down because I do like this formula a lot and I would get more of them if I could. But I actually got these at Marshall's when it was announced that the store was closing down. I knew that I would find a lot of her products there, and I kind of stocked up because I always wanted to try her cosmetics. Now for eyeliners, and my numbers are way better in this one, but the first one is one by ColourPop in the shade Purdy. It is a beautiful purple shade that really makes my eyes pop, and I reached for this one 12 times. Next, I have a liquid liner by ColourPop from their Hogwarts collection in the shade Diadem, and this is a liquid eyeliner that is blue, and I was a little bit nervous about it, but I thought I could make it wearable, and I did. I reached for this one 6 times, and I enjoyed the formula. It was very pigmented, it looked really nice, it was easy to use, very nice overall. The third one is a ColourPop gel liner in the shade Show Me, and this one is a copper kind of shade. I really like this. Again, I sound like a broken record, but I really like warm tones and copper shades on my eyes, oranges, all of that. Um, so I reached for this one 10 times, and it was really good for me to have this in my everyday makeup because it made me remember how much I like this eyeliner. So just like my Coral Cloud bleh. So just like my Coral Cloud blush, I'm gonna keep this one on in my everyday makeup. Now for February, I also have 3 eyeliners, and the 3 of them are the gel creme liners by ColourPop, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say the shade. The first one is in the shade Extra Frosting. It is a pale yellow color, and I know this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I really like this to brighten under my eye on my lower lash. The next shade is Icebreaker. It is this pale minty kind of green, and sadly this eyeliner is basically new even though it has been in my collection for a few years. So I'm gonna try to use it a bunch of times. I'm actually wearing it today. The third one is in the shade Joyride. It is this dark burgundy color, but when I was swatching it, the tip actually broke. Just by the swatch alone, I can tell that this one is drying out. So by the end of the month, I might have to either declutter it or put it in my project pan to use it up before it fully dries out. Now for lipsticks. In January, I had 2, and in February, I'm also gonna have just 2. The first one is by e.l.f. in the shade Vocal. It is this beautiful burnt orange kind of shade, and I reached for this one 4 times. The second one was by Laura Mercier in the shade Coral Nude. Just like the name suggests, it is a coral pinkish shade, and I reached for this one twice. Now for February, the first lipstick is by Wet n Wild in the shade Stoplight Red. I think this one is more of a cherry red, which is not my absolute favorite, but this lipstick is basically new, so it's gonna be interesting to see how much I like it. Now the second one is by ColourPop in the shade Double Espresso. This is a complicated lipstick for me because it is really creamy, which makes it really messy with such a dark shade. So I have more of a love-hate relationship with it because I enjoy the color a lot, but I hate the formula and the way that it wears. It's so messy, it doesn't fade nicely, so I don't really know what to do about this one. I have thought about decluttering it, but like I said, I don't like wasting product. Maybe I can just tap it on my lips and put like lip oil on top of it. I don't know, but I will do my very best to make it work. Maybe I can wear this as a bronzer, but also maybe not because it's so dark. I will try my best. Now for liquid lipsticks. The first one is by ColourPop in the shade Hello Boys. This is my favorite black lipstick in my collection, but sadly I only reached for it twice. Next is another liquid lipstick by ColourPop in the shade Prince Charming, again from my Princess collection. It is a very flattering pink, and I reached for it 3 times. And the third one is by Believe Beauty in the shade Grenadine. It is this beautiful burnt red shade, and I reached for it 3 times. Sadly, I don't think January was a good month for me in terms of how many lip products I reached for, but I'm gonna try to do better in February. Sometimes I just forget to reapply my lipstick throughout the day, so it showed in my numbers for this month, both in my rotation project and in my project pan. Now for the month of February, I have 2 liquid lipsticks, and the first one is by Believe Beauty in the shade Foxy. It is this mauve pink, very natural, very neutral, very wearable. The second one is by a brand called Essica. I think my mom got me this one, and it is in the shade Rosa Apasionada, which means passionate rose. Not the most beautiful swatch, but as you can tell, this is a very beautiful pink. And the thing about this formula is that it does feel very hydrating, but it doesn't fully dry, as opposed to this one by Believe Beauty, which is not a problem for me. I like both kind of formulas, although I do slightly prefer one of those that fully dry down and are transfer proof. Now for lip tints. In January, I had 2, and in February, I will also have 2. All 4 of these lip tints that I'm going to talk about, I buy ColourPop in the formula Just a Tint, and the first one for January was Cherry Kiss. This is what it looks like, and sadly, I only reached for this twice, But that's alright because the goal for this is not really to use up the products or use them a certain amount of times, but to figure out whether I still like the formula, whether I still like the color, and yeah, I still do. This is one of my favorite formulas for lip tints. The second one for January was in the shade Cherry Picking. Such a flattering shade, and sadly, I also only reached for it 3 times. Although I do enjoy both of these shades on me, I think that eventually I would like to finish Coral Kiss and only keep in my collection shades such as Cherry Pickin', which are my absolute favorite ones. And once I finish those, then I can repurchase them again, but really narrow it down with the amount of shades that I have. Now for February, the first one is in the shade Give Me S'more, a very neutral kind of shade, very flattering, and this one is the shade that I have gone through several of them. Now let me show you the difference between a shade that is one of my favorites, like Give Me S'more, some more, some more, some more. Now let me show you the difference between a shade that is one of my absolute favorites, such as Give Me S'more, and one that is not my absolute favorite, like Coral Kiss. So just by looking at these three, you can tell which ones I really, really like and which one is a little bit neglected. So in reality, I think that I would like to only keep these two and finish shades like this one that I don't really reach for all that much. And the second lip tint for February is this one in the shade The Strand. This is a really nice pink. It is actually what I'm wearing today. I don't particularly love it on me. I enjoy it, but it's not a hardcore favorite. So in time, I would also like to finish this one and just never repurchase it again, because in reality, I think I need like 2 or 3 favorite shades and nothing else. And finally, we have a lip liner. I didn't have a lip liner in the month of January, but I will have one for February. And this one is by NYX in the shade Crushed. It is a bright pink shade, and honestly, I don't love this formula. It is a little bit drying, and I would not repurchase it. So at some point, I also want to finish this and call it a day. And so here we go, the first update for my rotation project. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in March to update you on how I did on these new items in my everyday makeup. If you are someone doing a project pan, a rotation project, or something similar like a Shop My Stash, a Panda Shadows, or a Level Up project, please let me know where I can go ahead and follow you, whether that's on Instagram or YouTube. I would love to see you finish up makeup or going through makeup, or I don't know. Just let me know. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.